When you consider that in Australia 40% of Australia's greenhouse gas emissions come from the burning and mining of coal, you can't be serious if you're not putting coal centre stage, and if you don't have a plan to move away from a heavy dependence on coal to deliver energy. And that's why I was really pleased that Climate Camp was called.
I am involved with Climate Camp because it's inevitable that more and more people are going to want information, and Climate Camp is a way of disseminating that information.
A chance to learn a bit more how I can be involved and to meet like-minded people and to get a bit of a sense that something is happening.
I think direct action and things like Climate Camp and SOS and stuff like that as well are often like a really clear starting point for a lot of people.
I would hope that people can come down to Climate Camp and meet us, see what it's like and be able to talk to us and see that, you know, we're ordinary people like anyone else.
You've got to be here, be part of the number, and yeah, get that message out loud and clear to the politicians, because I think they're the ones that need to see that changes need to be made really quick.
I'm really excited about it and going to be going to the camp because I think it's going to really help to catalyse a grassroots direct action climate movement all over the country.
Climate Camp will be an example of people trying to stop a coal train in its tracks, and like, to me that's a really powerful image. It's like
Power of the people.
First Climate Camp in the UK I think had 500-600 people. The next one had 15 to 2,000 people, and as a result of that there have been a series of actions taken across the country.
I work at the coalface. I see the coal on the trains going to the port of Newcastle. I'm hoping to give some knowledge about what I know about what's causing these problems that we're experiencing, and to listen to others and actively engage in conversation and transfer of information.
Being around people who have more experience as campaigners and activists, you know, being able to ask people questions and get some form of answer rather than having a question in your head and muddling through it yourself.
There's been a really big focus on trying to be inclusive to more people, on like it not just being the kind of usual suspects bunch of activists.
Because there's this image of a bad protester in Australia, like good protester, bad protester. It could be quite easy, you know, for direct action to be delegitimised and cast as these are bad protesters. And I mean, it happens all the time.
It is important how we conduct ourselves, because there are people through the media, and because they're easily able to get coverage of their distorted viewpoints, who will try and discredit us.
Through things like Climate Camp, I hope that it mainstreams it in some ways, kind of shows this sort of thing is a rational response, this sort of thing is something that ordinary people can do. It's not about activists, it's not about specialists, it's about you.
Any action that we can attend, and by nature of our attendance indicates our vote for more action, we're very interested in being involved.
Change is a moral issue, and people can't ignore it anymore. You know, the science is in, and things need to be done, and what we do affects how other people live on the other side of the world.
I'm a bit of a believer that you start in your own backyard. You live how you would like everybody else to live.
We'll be practicing environmentally sound food providing and waste disposal and all that where we can. There'll be energy efficient lighting there, and also use of renewable energy on site.
There's childcare provided, the fact that it's in town, so if people really don't want to camp, they can find somewhere else to stay.
There'll be bicycles available for use that have been taken from the waste stream and fixed up, and also hopefully the planning processes that do happen on the camp will be inclusive and democratic, not just in the sense of voting and things, but actually, you know, actively seeking everyone's opinion and consent to what's happening.
Just to see how many people have come from all across the country and how many people have self-organised into groups and have ideas about what they want to achieve through Climate Camp and how that's inspired and mobilised so many people already.
And we've seen that so often in the history of progressive change, from the time of defeating slavery to women winning more rights to environmental protection to greater safety on the job. Those changes in the law didn't come about because one day MPs arrived in Parliament House and had a good idea that they would change the law. They came about because of social movements.
And hopefully they'll see from the actions that, you know, there was something there, there's a lot of human feeling and positive outcomes, and they might come and meet us on the next one, and we'll get more people involved, more resources, and, you know, build a real social movement. Not even a movement really, just society.
I go to Climate Camp with an open heart and an open mind. Let's hope we get a successful Climate Camp.
Yeah.
Go for
Yahoo! Yeah.
Happy camping.
Yeah.
I guess for us here, it's the grassroots mobilisation. There might be authoritarian responses to this in these crisis kind of times, and we've got to be ready to have the solutions and the organisation and the ways of connecting with all kinds of people that forestalls that and leads it to the kind of world we want for everybody and for life in general.
Climate Camp was a warm and fuzzy tops. Yeah, it really was. Yeah.
Having that time over a period of days was excellent, and also I thought really comforting. Like, in many ways, I think we're battling the coal industry, and I never like to say it's the toughest campaign, but I've got to say I do get close to saying it's the toughest campaign.
But it was part of a process, I think, of telling the story that individual people, have got responsibility and power to change the world and to start taking direct action for climate solutions.
The fact that we were able to get good media coverage for it, and with 1,000 people, they're obviously going to talk to thousands more people. It is probably one of the best examples of participatory democracy you can get. And I was really, really impressed.
But I think, going back to middle Australia, there's a deep suspicion of activism. And so, that's what, young people do, or that's what angry people do. And then it becomes about activism, which has nothing to do with climate change. So as long as it's really... I think Climate Camp's got a real challenge in the whole in the context of people's perception of activism.
What the most powerful thing that people can do is to engage in civil disobedience and say, I'm no longer consenting to the government killing our planet and ruining our future for our children, future generations. And it poses a profound challenge to government when it grows. Like, not just one-off isolated events, but when you have large numbers of people systematically, regularly withdrawing their consent and questioning the authority of the state, it's very powerful. And I think that's where Climate Camp is, and things that can flow from Climate Camp are very powerful.
I came away with a gladdened heart, and I knew that the future wasn't all that so much under a cloud of coal dust, that the dust was, we're seeing our way through the coal dust, and it was slowly blowing away.
I have hope in the sense that if I and you and others work to make that happen, we'll make it happen. And we have to.